Hi guys, I just wanted to make a short social studies video for 6th grade, and I know you guys are getting ready to take section 5 quiz, and I just wanted to kind of talk about section 5. We haven't talked since we stopped school, and normally we would talk about every section, and you guys would Google things and all kinds of good stuff. So what I'm thinking is maybe next week we may have to have some Google sessions where you guys Google some of your favorite topics, and then you can report back to me or something. But I'll let you know about that next week. But I just wanted to go over section 5 with you real quick and talk about a few things. You did the vocabulary today, and or yesterday, and I just wanted to see what you thought about that. You started off with the heaps of shoes, which is on page 451. I'm looking down at my book, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. And it's really a shame, all that heap of shoes from all those Jews and so on that were captured by the Nazis and taken to the concentration camps. They took all their possessions from them, and they couldn't believe that they were just making big piles of them, and they'd never seen that before. And the Jews especially had never seen that before. They were wondering, how are we going to know which shoes are ours? They didn't know that they would never get those shoes back. And most of them didn't live to even worry about it. So we know about that and some bad things that happened. But let's move on to, if you have any vocabulary words you're not sure about, you can always email me and talk about those. But I just wanted to go over a few things with you. I don't know if you know what the Cold War was. The Cold War really wasn't a real war. It was more of a showdown. The USSR, Russia, and all of the Soviet Union against really the rest of the world, the United States specifically. They were trying to figure out who had the best weapons and, who was willing to use them, nuclear bombs or whatever. And, I lived for some of this. And there was tensions, with Russia until the 80s. And things began to loosen up with the Soviet Union. I'll say Soviet Union and Russia. They're kind of the same thing. Russia was the main part of the Soviet Union, and then they started, taking over a lot of the countries around them to become the Union, Soviet Union. So anyways, so the Cold War really wasn't a war, but it was more of a, my weapons are bigger than your weapons, and I can do more damage than you, and they kind of went back and forth. But no shots were technically fired as part of the Cold War. Okay? Hopefully you understand the idea of the Berlin Wall. You had East Germany and West Germany. East Germany was held by the Soviet Union, by Russia and the communists. So East Germany was communist. There was a wall built around it so that they could not leave and go to West Germany. West Germany was a democracy. It was free. And so the communist side, East, didn't want those people leaving to go to the West. Think about that. Berlin, so you had the Berlin Wall there built, and think about it, you may have family on both sides of the wall. Your cousins or your aunts and uncles may be on the East German side, East Berlin, and you may be living on the West side. So you would have different, maybe even things like that where you wouldn't get to see them at all because they couldn't leave. So that was a terrible thing. Then, in the 80s, Mikhail Gorbachev, who was the leader of the Soviet Union, and it was still communist, but he had a really good relationship with one of our presidents. And I don't know if you know who that president is. So if you're not sure, I'm sure it's in your book. But if not, you might want to look that up. Who was president when Mikhail Gorbachev was the president of the Soviet Union? Anyways, they had a good relationship. And this president, a famous president of the United States, he told Mikhail Gorbachev to tear down that wall. That was one of his famous speeches that this president made. And he was a really cool president. And he actually came to Evansville one time. He went to Robert Stadium, and I actually got to go. I was in middle school at that time, in the middle to late 80s, probably 1986, 87, something like that. And he came to came to Evansville, and my mom got me out of school and took me, and it was really cool. We were way at the very top of Robert Stadium. You could barely see, but you could see, when I was there. So that's something that I'll never forget. And maybe you got to go see President Trump when he came to Evansville. I know I went. No matter how you feel about the president, it's he's the president, and so it's a great thing to be able to go see him. So anyways, I want to keep this video somewhat short, but if you look at page 457, so if you want to flip over to 457, you see a picture of Mikhail Gorbachev, his head. He kind of looks like an egg, Humpty Dumpty, but he was a leader, and they're tearing down that wall. The wall comes down. So it says that the communist government it fell because Mikhail Gorbachev actually started to begin to give the people more freedom. And that was a great thing, because before that, remember, communist means that they told you what you could do. They owned everything. The government owned everything. They could tell you what to buy and sell. They would take the money for it, and so on and so forth. So they would give you just enough so you could live and have things, but it wasn't free. But Mikhail Gorbachev began to back off a little bit of that and give them some freedoms, and they liked it. And so eventually they overtook the government, and that came, the wall came down. So, all right, talks about the European Union, things like that. But I just want to give that information to you. I had you do questions 4 and 5 on page 459. I don't know if you have any questions about those. Number 5, it says, how did change in the Soviet Union clear way for democracy in Eastern Europe? I just talked about that. Because Mikhail Gorbachev loosened up the government, people began to have their own power. Democracies began to be able to do that. And so when they overthrew the communist government, it fell. It pretty much cleared up the whole European continent to be able to be more free. So, all right. So today you're going to take a quiz over section 5. Do your best, and send that to me through email. Take a picture of it. Use cam scanner, whatever. Take a picture of it, and stay tuned to this video. I'm not done. I'm done pretty much, but there's somebody I want you to meet at the end of this video you might like. He's my buddy. He's been buddies of mine for a long time, but I want you to meet him. So hang in for that, and I will see you next time. Hopefully I'll be giving a math video for 6th grade maybe next week, I guess. Hopefully you guys are doing okay on the math that we're doing. So, all right. Love you guys. Be good. All right. See ya. PJ. Sit. Sit down. Sit. Sit. Good boy. Good boy. You want to shake? Good boy. Well, this is PJ. And we've had him since he was about 6 weeks old. And that was in 2008. So he's about 12 years old. We're just out here on the back porch. PJ, want to say hi to everybody? Why don't you go bark at something, they can hear you bark. Okay.